encouraged it to happen.
That's right. Okay, let's look at that again. We've had laid foundations, made something possible.
Maverick, not like anyone else.
Spurred, encouraged to happen.
Now, if you're interested in vaccines, you'll love our episode of News Review about a potential cancer vaccine. Click here to watch it.
And don't forget to click here to subscribe to our channel so you never miss another video. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
Irreversible change. Antarctica faces a climate emergency. This is News Review from BBC Learning English. I'm Neil.
And I'm Beth. Make sure you watch to the end to learn vocabulary to talk about this story.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and try the quiz on our website. Now the story.
Sea ice the size of Greenland is missing. This and collapsing ice shelves are just some of the problems Antarctica is facing due to climate change. Scientists have met this week to discuss how important the Southern Ocean is to the health of the whole planet. They say more funding is urgently needed.
You've been looking at the headlines, Beth. What's the vocabulary?
We have virtually, put on ice, and call for.
This is News Review from BBC Learning English. Let's have a look at our first headline.
This is from Science Alert. Antarctic extremes are now virtually assured, with global ramifications.
So this headline says that extremes, that means very hot and very cold temperatures, are virtually assured. And assured means guaranteed. Global ramifications, that means that the whole world will be impacted. But what we're looking at is the word virtually.
We are. Now, this word virtually is very often used with technology. In fact, Neil, I went on a virtual tour of the Taj Mahal recently. I was at home in London, but it was like I was almost there, like I was virtually there in India.
Well, that's a really useful way of looking at it from that sort of technological point of view, because in this headline, virtually means almost or nearly, just like you were almost, nearly, sort of at the Taj Mahal. Now, the headline says that these extremes are virtually assured. That means almost guaranteed.
That's right. And we can also use virtually in a more casual, everyday way. So this morning, Neil, I was late for work. I was virtually on the bus when it left without me.
Well, I had a bad journey to work as well. I left my headphones at home. I had a really cool playlist I wanted to listen to. I was virtually in tears, almost crying. Let's look at that again. Let's have our next headline.
This is from The Guardian. I've spent 40 years in Antarctic research. Right now, it's facing a climate emergency, so we must not put vital science on ice.
Okay, before looking at the headline, a note about pronunciation. Beth, you said research. I say research. It's just a change in word stress, and both are fine. Now the headline. We mustn't put vital science on ice, and put something on ice is what we're going to learn about. At a fish market, Beth, they put the fish on ice so it doesn't go bad. Is there a connection?
Kind of, yeah. So you put fish on ice to save it for later when you actually need to cook it. Now, the headline says you mustn't, or we mustn't put science on ice, meaning we shouldn't wait until we need the science, because actually we need it now.
So put on ice means delay or postpone. Now, of course, this story is actually about ice, Antarctic ice, and so it's a kind of clever headline. You see that quite often. can you tell us some other uses of put on ice?
Yeah, so maybe at work, there's a project, you think it's going to go ahead, but then you don't have enough money, so the project is put on ice.
Yeah, and I was thinking of moving house recently, but the timing is not good. So that plan, we have put it on ice. It means we'll save it for later and think about it again in the future. Let's look at that again. Let's have our next headline.
This is from Merco Press. World scientists call for more research on the Southern Ocean and climate change.
So, scientists call for more research. We are going to learn about call for. It contains call, which everybody knows, so why are we looking at it?
Well, call for is a phrasal verb. So with phrasal verbs, they have particles, like for in this case, and it can change the meaning. Call for means to publicly ask for something. So in this case, in the headline, scientists are writing, speaking, and asking governments and the world of science and the public for a change.
Yeah, they are calling for action. Now, Beth, I am meeting a friend for dinner later, but I need to change the time. Do I call for a change of time?
No, because you don't need everyone, you don't need the public to know that you're changing the time. So just let the restaurant know. So call for is quite formal. It's often used in headlines and reports. We don't really use it in everyday conversation.
Okay, let's look at that one more time. We've had virtually, almost, nearly,
Put on ice, save for later.
and call for, ask for publicly.
Now, if you want to watch more videos about climate change, click here to watch a 6-minute English box set.
And click here to subscribe to our channel so you never miss another video.
Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
Fake news.
Hi, I'm Hugo,
And I'm Sam.
and this is Fake News Fact and Fiction from BBC Learning English. In the program today, we'll look at the topic of critical thinking with the special guest, Dr. Steven Novella.
Being able to evaluate the information that we have access to critically is now probably the most important skill any individual can have.
We'll hear more from Dr. Novella later. First, Sam, do you have some vocabulary for us?
Yes, I do. So today I'm going to be talking about spin, cherry picking, bias, and the phrase critical thinking itself. Let's have a look. See that? It's a ball. To turn it quickly is to spin it. Now, if we put the truth on this ball, then spin it, can you still see the truth? It's still there somewhere, but difficult to see clearly. Spin makes the truth difficult to see. And this is a bit like political spin, a term first used in the 1970s to talk about the way politicians and their spokespeople present information. They will present information in a way that makes things seem as positive as possible without always telling you the whole truth or the whole context. They might highlight the most positive details, but ignore the other details that don't make them look quite as good. Selecting which facts are chosen to publicize is known as cherry picking, and it often doesn't give a full or accurate picture of the whole story. And it's not just politicians of all sides who do this. It happens in the media too, mainstream and social media, and very often we do it ourselves. To explain why, I'm going to need another ball, like a bowling ball. Bowling balls don't roll straight. They curve to the left or right when they're rolled. One reason for this is that their weight is not centered. They have what is called a bias. Bias is the same word we use to describe an opinion that is not impartial, one that is not based fairly on facts, but which may turn one way or another because of personal feelings, political preferences, or ideology. So we might disagree with someone and think that they're wrong, not because of evidence or facts, but just because they have a different way of looking at the world than we do. And when it comes to the spread of fake news, something called confirmation bias is incredibly important. This is when we ignore or dismiss anything that doesn't support our own beliefs and only pay attention to information that confirms the views we already have. We like to read and see opinions that reflect our own beliefs. We might want to share something that we really agree with, something that makes us really angry or upset, and not stop to think whether it's actually true. The challenge is to be open to trying to understand opinions that are different from our own and not ignore any evidence that doesn't confirm our own view. This is where critical thinking becomes very important. The skill of looking at information objectively and impartially and trying not to be persuaded by our own biases. So that was my balanced spin on spin, and now back to the studio.
Thanks, Sam. I may be biased, but I thought it was really interesting. And it takes us nicely into our topic today, critical thinking. Why is this something that is important when it comes to fake news?
Well, one of the ways that news spreads is when it's shared. And if it's fake news, that can be a problem. Thinking critically is a bit like social distancing for fake news. If we know how to spot fake news, we are less likely to spread it.
And in order to spot fake news, you have to be a little bit of a skeptic and not believe everything you read on the internet. So what does it mean to be a skeptic? Let's turn to our guest today, Dr. Steven Novella. Dr. Novella is a clinical neurologist at Yale University. He's a science communicator who presents a weekly podcast called The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, and he's also written a book with the same name. We spoke to him earlier and first asked him about what being a skeptic means and why he believes it's important.
A skeptic is somebody that wants to believe only things that are actually true. We want to use facts, logic, and evidence to base our beliefs on. Now, the opposite of being a skeptic is being gullible. And I don't think anybody would self-identify as gullible or want to be gullible. But what we're advocating scientific skepticism is using a formal method, using a process to evaluate the information that we encounter. We're deluged with information. We have to filter it somehow. We have to have some way of figuring out what's likely to be true and what's not true. If someone's trying to deceive me, if someone's trying to sell me something, if someone else has been deceived and they're trying to pass that along to me, if the government is trying to maintain some fiction to maintain control. I mean, there's all sorts of reasons why people would give me information that's not correct or that's biased or that's inaccurate. And sometimes people just make honest mistakes. We're flawed. Our brains are flawed. Our memories are terrible. We sort of construct an approximation of reality as best we can, but it's never totally accurate. And we have to be aware of all those biases and flaws.
Well, good to hear Dr. Novella using one of your vocabulary words there, Sam, bias. But did you pick out any other interesting word there?
Yeah, so the word gullible is interesting. We use this word for someone who is willing to believe things without questioning. It makes them really easy to trick. So I remember when I was at school, a teacher told me that the word gullible wasn't in the dictionary.
Did you believe them?
Well, I thought about it for a second because it was a teacher who told me and I trusted them. And then I was going to tell my friends because I thought it was interesting, but I thought I should probably check it out first. And of course, the word was in the dictionary. So being a skeptic and a critical thinker means not believing everything you see or hear, not liking and sharing something, even if we agree with it or it feels right to us, until we have evidence to support it. It may not be important whether a word is in a dictionary or not, but it is when thinking about the areas of science, health, and politics.
Yeah, it does take a little bit of an effort. It's easy to check a dictionary to see if a word is in there, but it is more difficult with more complex issues. So how do we start with this? Here's Dr. Novella again.
So whenever I come across a question or a topic that I want to wrap my head around, I make sure that I specifically look for information on all sides. It may be more than two sides, but on all what I think are at least viable opinions. If there's any large group of people or respected professionals or whatever who are saying something, I want to at least understand what their point is. What is their side? And until you sort of sort through the back and forth of different arguments, you don't really have a good sense of who has the better position. And if I follow a good process, I look for as many differing opinions as I can, keep a genuinely open mind, don't prejudge the conclusion, and then see, okay, who has the better evidence? And when you do that habitually, you do that all the time, you get pretty good at it. Just like anything, you do it all the time and you'll get better at it. It still takes work to wrap your head around any complex issue, but you have a fighting chance if you do that process.
It seems to have some similarity with what journalists do, looking for different sources and analyzing the evidence.
And it's important to look not only at different sources, but also at different points of view.
Of course, this isn't something you need to do for everything. Some things are easy to check and some things are not that controversial. But when it comes to science, medicine and health, for example, there are many claims that we might like to believe, but which may not be accurate. So it's a good idea to develop some of those research skills if you want to be a critical thinker. This is something that Dr. Novella thinks is essential for students and adults to develop. But it's not the only thing. So here's a look at what else he thinks is important.
I do think that we need to teach critical thinking as a core skill set to all children and adults, and what's called media literacy. I think media literacy is more important than it ever was. It's only going to get even more important. So people need to understand not just scientific literacy, but critical thinking and media literacy. That is the currency now of the modern world. We all have access to massive amounts of information. I mean, it's unbelievable when you think about it. At the touch of your fingers, you have access to the collective knowledge of humanity. It's amazing. And so the real currency is in being able to find the information that you want and evaluate it critically. Being able to evaluate the information that we have access to critically is now probably the most important skill any individual can have. And that's what now I think like the science communicators are shifting towards. That's what we have to teach people. They can find the facts online. We need to teach them how to know it when they find it.
So Sam, as well as critical thinking, what else does Dr. Novella think is an essential skill?
Well, that would be media literacy, which is an understanding of how the media and social media works and how it's being used for good and for bad.
And it's also about being aware of where you get your information from, people on social media, blogs, and websites you follow. So Sam, can you just please recap today's vocabulary for us?
Absolutely. So we started off with spin, which is a way to present information in a positive way, as positive as possible, even if it's not actually particularly good news. Cherry-picking details is to choose only the information that agrees with your views and ignore any inconvenient facts. A bias is a belief that something is good or bad, which isn't based on evidence, but is based on prejudices or our own beliefs and our own ideology. Critical thinking is the skill of evaluating and judging how accurate something is objectively, without bias, without spin, and without cherry-picking data. A skeptic is someone who wants to use logic and evidence and not emotion when judging how accurate something is. The adjective gullible is used for people who aren't skeptical, who easily believe what they're told and what they read. And finally, media literacy is an awareness of our modern media environment and an understanding of how media and social media works and how fake news and disinformation can spread.
Thank you very much, Sam. I think you deserve a rest after that. And thank you for watching. Until next time, goodbye.
Bye.
Can flying ever be green? Scientists say no. This is News Review from BBC Learning English. I'm Shan.
And I'm Phil. Make sure you watch to the end to learn the vocabulary you need to talk about this story.
And remember, subscribe to our channel, like this video, and try the quiz on the website. Now for today's story.
Environmentally friendly flying is not likely to happen soon. That's according to scientists from the Royal Society. The UK government's target is completely sustainable flying by 2050. But research has found that more than half of all British farmland would be needed to grow the plants to make the biofuel.
You've been looking at the headlines. What's the vocabulary?
We have use up, not in easy reach, and pour cold water on.
This is News Review from BBC Learning English. Let's have a look now at our first headline.
Okay, this is from The Times. Jet fuel crops would use up most British farmland.
So crops, that's plants, that are used to make jet fuel would use up farmland. So we're looking here at use up. Now, I know the verb use, but what's the meaning here?
Well, use up means to use something completely so that there's nothing left. So in the story here, it's saying that if British farmland is used up to grow jet fuel, then there's no space left for anything else, like space to grow food.
And that's why this is unrealistic for these jet fuel crops to be grown. Okay, so use up together is a phrasal verb, right?
It is. Now, we often add up to a verb to mean completely. So, for example, if you fill up your car with petrol, you fill it completely so that there's no space for more petrol in your car.
And if you say to your children, eat up or drink up, you want them to finish all their food or drink. Let's look at that again. Okay, let's have our next headline.
This is from the BBC. Green flights not in easy reach, warn scientists.
Okay, so we're looking at this expression in reach. And note in the headline, it's in the negative and uses not. Okay, so Phil, I know the verb reach, so I reach for my water bottle if I need a drink. But in this headline, it's in reach, so it's not a verb, is it?
No, it's not. It's a phrase, and we often use it with the verb be, and it means to have something close to you. So, Sean, your water bottle is in reach. You can reach it. It's close to you.
Okay, so we can use it with physical things, like my water bottle, but we can also use it metaphorically. So in the headline, they say that green flights are not in easy reach, meaning that green flights will not happen yet. It's not easy to have them.
Yes, and we often use it like this, metaphorically. So, for example, if you've got 1 month left until the end of the school year, we can say that the end of the school year is in reach.
Or if I'm a professional sports person and I have an injury, then the Olympics are not in easy reach. Let's have a look at that again. Okay, next headline please, Phil.
This one is from The Guardian. Scientists pour cold water on UK aviation's net zero ambitions.
Okay, so here we're talking about net zero, which means limiting harmful gases. And the expression we're looking at is pour cold water on. So, Phil, if I pour cold water on you, how do you feel?
I don't think I'd like it. But this is an idiom and it's metaphorical. You can pour cold water on a plan or an idea, and if you do that, it means that you're very negative about it. In fact, so negative that other people might lose their enthusiasm for the plan or the idea.
Okay, so scientists criticised this plan to fly more sustainably. But can we use this expression in everyday English?
Definitely. So, Sean, think about if your kids are arranging or planning a really big house party. I think you might pour cold water on that idea.
Definitely. And if you're thinking about cheating in an exam and your friends think it's a bad idea, then they will pour cold water on it and you'll lose enthusiasm for this idea. Let's look at that again. We've had use up, use all of something.
Not in easy reach, not close or achievable.
Pour cold water on, be negative about something.
Now, to learn and practice more vocabulary about climate change, click on this video.
And click here to subscribe and never miss a video. Thanks for joining us. Goodbye.
Bye.
Speaking at the World Economic Forum in Davos, Switzerland, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken describes what he sees happening in the Gaza Strip as gut-wrenching. In China, official government data shows the country's economy grew at a rate of 5.2% in 2023, beating a target of 5%. South Korean and Japanese nuclear diplomats meet in Seoul to discuss North Korea's threats and latest military activities. And in Zambia, officials say at least 363 people have died in a cholera outbreak that has sickened more than 9,500 people. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken calls on Israel to do more to protect civilians in Gaza, saying there is a gap between Israel's stated goals and actual results on the ground. In Moscow, Russian President Vladimir Putin says he will seek another 6-year term. China cuts visitor visa costs by 25% for travelers from several countries, including Thailand, Japan, Mexico, and Vietnam. And the U.S. Justice Department brings 9 new charges against President Joe Biden's son, Hunter. He is accused of failing to pay $1.4 million in taxes.
Які основні частини літака позначаються скороченням WEFT для легшого запам'ятовування? За якими параметрами розрізнити F-Fighter – винищувач та A-Bomber – бомбардувальник? Як відрізнити Attack Helicopters від Transport Helicopters? Я Олена Чекрижова, вчителька. Це армійська англійська. Перший в Україні канал із мовної підготовки для українських військових. В одному з попередніх уроків ми говорили про розпізнавання наземної техніки. А цей урок присвятимо розпізнаванню авіаційної техніки. Я познайомлю вас із лексикою, яка знадобиться для опису різних типів літаків та літальних апаратів. Розберемо купу цікавих та потрібних слів, термінів та понять із сфери військової авіації. Тому приготуйтесь занотовувати та запам'ятовувати. У створенні цього уроку мені посприяли викладачі Центру іноземних мов Національного університету оборони України, а також волонтери проєкту «Армійська англійська». Подяка їм за це. Європейські, американські та азійські країни мають власні типи літаків. Проте не так важливо знати їхні назви, як розрізняти їхню функціональну роль. Існує 6 основних типів літаків, про які я вам уже розповідала в уроці під назвою Types of Aircraft. І нагадаю, що це винищувачі, fighters, бомбардувальники, bombers, транспортні літаки, Transport Aircraft, літаки, оснащені засобами раннього радіолокаційного попередження та контролю і засобами радіоелектронної боротьби. Airborne Early Warning and Control and Electronic Warfare Aircraft. Транспортні гелікоптери, Transport Helicopters, штурмові гелікоптери, Attack Helicopters. Поговоримо детальніше про характеристики літаків. Кожен літальний апарат має 4 основні компоненти, за якими можна визначити його роль. У запам'ятовуванні їх нам допоможе акронім WEFT – Wing – крило, Engine – двигун, Fuselage – фюзеляж та Tail – хвіст. Винищувачі fighters можуть використовуватися для перехоплення interception, ведення розвідки reconnaissance та штурму attack. Винищувач-перехоплювач an interceptor контролює повітряний простір controls airspace та стоїть на заваді доступу до нього ворожої авіації denies enemy aircraft access to the airspace. Розвідувальний літак a reconnaissance aircraft знаходить ціль візуально locates targets visually або за допомогою фото чи електронних сенсорів or by using photographic or electronic sensors. Штурмовик a ground attack aircraft здійснює атаки на наземні цілі conducts attacks against ground targets, включно з interdiction – блокування та ускладнення дій супротивника та завдання з безпосередньої авіаційної підтримки close air support missions. Серед характеристик винищувачів виділяють такі. Майже всі вони мають зброю, встановлену під або над крилами weapons mounted under or on top of the wings. Впуск двигуна або двигунів engine or engines intake розташовано збоку або під фюзеляжем on the side or under the fuselage of the aircraft. Most fighters are smaller, менші than other types of aircraft. Вони можуть мати one or two tails. Горизонтальний або ж хвостовий стабілізатор the horizontal stabilizer та руль висоти, чи як його називають стерно висоти або кермо висоти the elevator розташовані on the fuselage. Maximum crew зазвичай 2 pilots. Нещодавно у нас вийшов урок, присвячений характеристикам F-16. Щоб дізнатися більше корисної авіалексики, переходьте за посиланням та вивчайте. Бомбардувальники bombers зазвичай більші за розміром та повільніші bigger and slower than fighters. Їх розроблено, щоб атакувати наземні цілі на великих та малих висотах to attack ground targets from high or low altitude. І вони можуть нести ядерні або звичайні боєприпаси to deliver nuclear and conventional munitions. All bombers мають weapons mounted under the wings або в бомбовому відсіку. Його ще називають збройним відсіком – a bomb bay. Усі сучасні літаки-бомбардувальники мають реактивні двигуни – jet engines та є багатодвигунними – multi-engined. Переважно стратегічні бомбардувальники мають довші крила – longer wings, якщо порівняти їх з іншими літаками, та довгі хвости – long tails. Кабіна в цього типу літаків більша. A cabin area is larger. А the fuselage is longer and thinner. Довший та тонший than on other types of aircraft. До речі, щоб порівнювати різні типи літаків англійською, вам неодмінно знадобиться знання такої граматичної теми, як degrees of comparison – ступені порівняння прикметників. Якщо ви плаваєте в граматиці, передивіться цей урок, де я коротко та зрозуміло пояснюю цю тему, щоб ви могли вільно висловлювати свої думки та вживати прикметники в різних ступенях порівняння. Транспортні літаки, transport aircraft, використовуються для перевезення матеріал, озброєння військової техніки, військового майна, матеріальних засобів, vehicles or personnel. На відміну від інших типів авіації, вони можуть літати з імпровізованих літовищ, can operate from makeshift airfields. Ось їхні характеристики. Високо розміщені крила, high-mounted wings. Двигуни розташовано на крилах або ж під ними. Engines are situated on or under the wings. Ці літаки є зазвичай багатодвигунними, multi-engined, і мають реактивні двигуни, jet engines, або турбогвинтові двигуни, turboprop engines. Крім того, вони мають широкий фюзеляж – a wide fuselage. Задня вантажна рампа – rear cargo ramp – служить для полегшення завантаження та розвантаження персоналу чи матеріалів – to facilitate loading and unloading. Хвостова частина – широка та висока – large high tail section. Авіаційна система раннього попередження та управління – AWACS Aircraft. AWACS – це абревіатура від Airborne Early Warning and Control System, що дослівно перекладається як «система попередження та контролю у повітрі». В українській мові використовується абревіатура DRLS, скорочено від системи дальнього радіолокаційного стеження. AWACS має поворотну антенну, a rotating radar dish, чи дорсальний оптічник, a dorsal pod. Базується на літаках цивільних моделей, based on civilian pattern airframes. Літаки радіоелектронної боротьби – Electronic Warfare Aircraft. Літаки радіоелектронної боротьби, інакше кажучи, РЕБи, чи, як їх називають, літаки радіоелектронної протидії або радіоелектронного придушення, Electronic Countermeasure, ECM, часто схожі на штурмові. Їхня задача – глушити комунікацію ворога та його радари повітряної оборони – to jam enemy communications and air defense radars. Реби зазвичай мають подвісний контейнер з електронікою – an electronics pod та сенсори – sensors на хвості або під крилами. Транспортні гелікоптери – transport helicopters, move equipment and troops та мають такі характеристики. Вони можуть не мати озброєння – may be unarmed, або бути оснащені лише кулеметами – have only machine guns. Зазвичай вони мають a wide fuselage, щоб умістити війська чи устаткування – to accommodate troops and equipment. Деякі мають два ротори або ж гвинти – rotors. Вони оснащені задньою рампою або боковими дверцятами. Equipped with a rear ramp or a side door. Перший та другий пілоти сидять пліч-опліч. A pilot and a co-pilot sit side by side. штурмові гелікоптери attack helicopters, беруть участь у патрулюванні conduct patrol, супроводженні escort, контрударах чи контрнаступах counter-attack, а також у глибоких рейдах deep raid operations. Вони мають такі характеристики: long, thin fuselage, підвісні контейнери зі зброєю weapon pods, розташовані обабіч фюзеляжу, або на невеличких крильцях, що звуться winglets. Вони мають гармати або кулемети cannons or machine guns, які розташовуються на передній нижній частині гелікоптера. Цю частину в англійській мові називають a nose – передня частина з кабіною, або a chin – передня нижня частина під кабіною. І часто в поворотній пусковій установці in a turret. Стрілець a gunner та пілот a pilot зазвичай сидять тандемом, seated in tandem. Отже, друзі, в цьому уроці ми з вами розібрали достатньо спеціалізованої лексики, пов'язаної з авіацією, але не розкрили тему UAVs – Unmanned Aerial Vehicles – безпілотних літальних апаратів. Детальніше про UAVs, а простіше про дрони. Я, Олена Чекрижова, вчителька, планую поговорити з вами в наступних уроках на каналі Армійська англійська. А щоб це стало можливим, і ми з командою могли й далі працювати над цим курсом, створювати доступний освітній контент з англійської мови для українських військових, ви можете нас підтримати своєю вподобайкою, підпискою, коментарем, рекомендацією або ж гривнею. Звісно, якщо у вас є така можливість і бажання. Інформація про всі наші реквізити, а також посилання на всі уроки, які я згадувала сьогодні, в описі до цього відео.
Hey, Pete. Who's your friend?
She is Anna. She is new to DC.
Where are you from?
I am from a small town.
Now it's your turn. Listen.
Where are you from?
I am from a big city. Speak and say your city.
Welcome to DC.
Thank you.
I'm Jonathan. I'm in apartment B4.
I am in apartment C2. Marcia is my roommate.
I know Marcia. She is nice.
And I am in apartment D7.
Now it's your turn. Listen.
Welcome to DC.
Speak and say your city.
Listen.
Thank you.
Speak.
I have to go now.
Oh,
Remember to call Marcia at work. Tell her you're here.
right. Thanks, Pete. Nice to meet you.
You too. Bye.
Now it's your turn. Listen.
I have to go now.
Speak.
Listen.
Nice to meet you.
Speak.
Apartment C2, here I come.
Hey, Pete. Who's your friend?
She is Anna. She is new to DC.
Where are you from?
I am from a small town.
Welcome to DC.
Thank you.
I'm Jonathan. I'm in apartment B4.
I am in apartment C2. Marcia is my roommate.
I know Marcia. She is nice.
And I am in apartment D7. I have to go now.
Oh,
Remember to call Marcia at work. Tell her you're here.
right. Thanks, Pete. Nice to meet you.
You too. Bye.
Apartment C2, here I come.
Rapidly transforming societies. That's the only option left, says the UN, after a failure to cut carbon. This is News Review from BBC Learning English. I'm Neil.
And I'm Beth. Make sure you watch to the end to learn vocabulary to talk about the story.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and try the quiz on our website. Now let's hear more about the story.
Countries must reprioritise climate change or the world faces catastrophe. That's what the head of the UN has said ahead of COP27, the climate conference being held in Egypt this month. Scientists say government failures to meet carbon targets will lead to a rise of more than 1.5 degrees. Only radically changing society will save us from climate disaster, they say.
You've been looking at the headlines, Beth. What's the vocabulary?
We have landmark, greenwashing, and warning shots.
This is News Review from BBC Learning English. Let's have a look at our first headline.
This one is from Euronews. What is COP27? Everything you need to know about Egypt's landmark climate conference.
So COP27, which is the annual international climate conference, is being described as a landmark. That's the word we're looking at. Right now, Beth, first of all, I want you to think of a famous city, London. When I mention London, what comes to mind?
I think of Big Ben, Buckingham Palace, the London Eye, the Houses of Parliament.
Okay, so these are important, memorable places, buildings, literally marks on the land, landmarks. Is that what we mean here?
Well, they are landmarks, but no, that's not what we're talking about here. So in the headline, landmark is used as an adjective to mean that something is so important that it might cause a dramatic change.
Okay, so the headline is suggesting that COP27 might be a landmark conference, a point where an important change is made. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right. And this adjective landmark is often put together with words like event, decision, or day. So, for example, if we think about when women first got the right to vote, this was a landmark event. It was very important for women's rights.
And can we use any other words or vocabulary to describe a similar thing?
Yeah, we could say that something is a turning point or a milestone, for example.
Okay, let's have a look at that one more time. Let's have a look at our next headline.
This is from The Guardian. Greta Thunberg to skip greenwashing COP27 climate summit in Egypt.
Okay, so Greta Thunberg, the very famous young Swedish climate activist, is going to skip the COP27 climate conference. That means she's not going to attend because she thinks it's an example of greenwashing. And greenwashing is the word we're looking at. Well, I know the word green and I know the word washing, but what's the sense?
Well, imagine a company that sells something bad for the environment, like a plastic bottle, but they cover it with a green label that symbolizes being environmentally friendly. It might have nice pictures of forests on it, and it has words like organic and natural ingredients and recyclable.
Okay, so you're saying this bottle looks like it's really good for the environment, but actually it's just a plastic bottle and plastic isn't very good. So we're saying it's just marketing.
Exactly, yeah. This is greenwashing, and it is just a marketing approach that basically makes it look like an organization is helping the planet, and that makes the customer want to buy the product. They want to help the planet too, but actually it's not really helping at all.
Right, so in this headline we see that Greta Thunberg thinks that COP27 is an example of greenwashing. She thinks that actually they are not taking it seriously, they just want people to think they are.
Yeah, that's right. And the headline uses the adjective greenwashing. It describes the event, in this case, the conference. But we can also use greenwash as a verb. So that is the action of making something look more environmentally friendly than it actually is.
And a related idea and word is sports washing. That means when an organisation or a country hosts or supports a sporting event to try and make themselves look better. Let's take a look at that again. Let's look at our next headline.
This one comes from Inside Climate News. Ahead of COP27, new climate reports are warning shots to a world off course.
The headline says that the world is off course. That means going in the wrong direction, metaphorically, to reach those climate targets. And we are looking at the expression warning shots. It's got something to do with guns, hasn't it?
Yeah, so literally in war, one side might fire a shot in the air or it might come from a cannon. And this is saying, we are here, prepare yourself. It is a warning. But in the headline, it's used metaphorically. There's actually no guns here.
That's right. So these new scientific reports say that unless we stay within that 1.5 degree limit, something really bad is going to happen.
Exactly. It is a warning shot to the world. And in this case, that bad thing that would happen is the climate would collapse.
Now, the expression warning shot is used very frequently in news media, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So it sounds very dramatic and it creates a really powerful image in the mind of the reader, and that helps them remember the story a little bit more.
Yeah, let's have a look at that one more time. We've had Landmark, an important event that could cause big changes.
Greenwashing. Companies say it's environmentally friendly, but is it really?
And warning shots, signals that show action is needed.
Don't forget, there's a quiz on our website, bbclearningenglish.com.
Thank you for joining us, and goodbye.
Bye.
Hi there, I'm Anna, and I live in Washington, D.C. Every day, I learn more about this great city. People in Washington like to work out. Oh, hi, Pete. How's it going?
Hi, Anna. It's going great. How's it going with you?
Things are awesome. Pete, I want to work out. Where is the gym?
The gym is across from the lounge. It's next to the mailroom. Go that way.
Thanks, Pete.
No, Anna, not that way. Go that way.
Listen.
Where is the gym?
The gym is across from the lounge.
Speak.
Oh, Pete. This is not the gym.
That's right, Anna. This is the mailroom.
The gym is across from what?
The gym is across from the lounge.
Across from the lounge. Right. Thanks. Pete, this is not the gym.
The gym is across from the lounge. It is behind the lobby.
Right, right. See you.
See you, Anna.
See you.
See you, Anna.
Listen.
The mailroom is next to what?
Answer.
The mailroom is next to the gym.
This is not the gym. This is a parking garage. Hello? Pete? This is not a gym. This is a rooftop. Pete? Pete?
I want to work out too. Join me.
I'm good. Hi there, I'm Anna, and I live in Washington, D.C. Every day, I learn more about this great city. People in Washington like to work out. Oh, hi, Pete. How's it going?
Hi, Anna. It's going great. How's it going with you?
Things are awesome. Pete, I want to work out. Where is the gym?
The gym is across from the lounge. It's next to the mailroom. Go that way.
Thanks, Pete.
No, Anna, not that way. Go that way.
Oh, Pete. This is not the gym.
That's right, Anna. This is the mailroom.
The gym is across from what?
The gym is across from the lounge.
Across from the lounge. Right. Thanks. This is not the gym.
The gym is across from the lounge. It is behind the lobby.
Right. See you.
See you, Anna.
See you.
See you, Anna.
This is not the gym. This is a parking garage. Hello? Pete? This is not a gym. This is a rooftop. Pete? Pete?
I want to work out too. Join me.
I'm good.
Що таке enlistment та conscription? Чим to deploy відрізняється від to assign? Як розповісти про військовий досвід англійською? Я Олена Чекрижова, вчителька. Це армійська англійська, канал, де ми вивчаємо Military English. І в цьому відео ми з вами розглянемо корисну лексику, яка дасть вам змогу розповісти про ваш військовий досвід, про вашу біографію і про факти з вашої військової кар'єри. Сьогоднішня тема важлива, по-перше, тому що стандарт НАТО з мовної підготовки вимагає від військового вміння розповідати про свою біографію, спілкуватися з колегами, брати участь у дискусіях, брифінгах, дебрифінгах, проходити інтерв'ю і описувати події минулого. По-друге, не секрет, що іноземні збройні сили дуже зацікавлені в тому, щоб дізнатися більше про досвід наших українських захисників. І вже стоять в черзі, щоб повчитися у вас. І вже дуже скоро ви зможете спілкуватися з ними англійською і розповідати про ваш військовий шлях, якщо будете уважно дивитися мої уроки і виконувати практичні завдання. Основа будь-якої історії, будь то біографія, дебрифінг або байка, яку ви розповідаєте побратимам, це дієслова, дії, опис саме того, що ви робили. У попередньому відео я розповідала вам про час past simple для опису фактів та подій, що завершилися в минулому. І якщо ви уважно його дивилися, то пам'ятаєте, що дієслова діляться на правильні та неправильні. І сьогодні ми зустрінемо і ті. А також ми зустрінемо уже знайоме вам із попередніх уроків дієслово to be – бути, але в минулому часі. In the past воно має дві форми – was та were. Був, була, було, були. Форма залежить від особи та від того, однина чи множина. В однині з I, he, she, it використовуємо was. З you в однині та в множині we та they вживаємо were. Усі правила утворення стверджень, заперечень та питань з was, were такі ж самі, як і для to be в теперішньому часі. Якщо ви пропустили або підзабули відеоурок про дієслово to be і розповідь про себе в теперішньому часі, подивіться його. Окрім того, сьогодні ми зустрінемо речення в пасивному стані. Тобто, коли не ви активно щось робили, а з вами щось робили. Наприклад, народили, доправили, перевели, відзначили. І англійською ми будемо казати «я був народжений», «я був доправлений», «мене було переведено» і так далі. Тут нам потрібна вже третя форма дієслова. Починаємо розповідь про свій досвід із загальних фактів. I was born in. Я був народжений. Та після in ви ставите рік або місто. З роками використовуємо прийменник in, і щоб тут і далі правильно називати дати, зверніться до уроку про numbers, де я пояснюю, як це робити англійською. Щоб розповісти про свою освіту, можете сказати I graduated from і вказати навчальний заклад або університет. Я закінчив, випустився з. I joined the armed forces in. Я вступив до Збройних сил у такому-то році. Наприклад, I joined the armed forces as a military volunteer in 2014. I was mobilized in 2018. To enlist – це приходити на військову службу, вступати на військову службу, добровільно завербовуватися. Або набирати, вербувати, зараховувати на військову службу. To enroll – зараховувати на службу. Ви можете сказати I enlisted, I was enrolled або I was recruited. Мене було зараховано на військову службу. Незайвим також буде слово conscription – військова служба по призову, призов громадян на військову службу або військова повинність. A conscript – це призовник. The oath of enlistment – це присяга, військова клятва. To take the oath of enlistment – це складати з присягу. До речі, to take – це неправильне дієслово. Три форми – take, took, taken. Тож ви кажете I took the oath of enlistment a year ago. I served in. Я служив у такому-то місті, у такому-то підрозділі або у такому-то роді військ. My rank was. Моє звання було. I was promoted from to. Мене було підвищено по службі з і до такого-то звання. Також можете сказати I rose through the ranks або I progressed through the ranks. Я просувався у званнях до якогось конкретного рангу. Рости, підвищуватися – to rise, rose, risen. Щоб докладніше розповісти про підрозділи, передивіться урок, присвячений цій темі. А щоб згадати звання, зверніться до уроку про military ranks, а також знайдіть українські відповідники вашого звання званням НАТО. To drill, to train or to exercise in military operations – це відпрацьовувати, тренувати навички військових операцій. To enter training – починати військові навчання і вказуйте, які саме. Наприклад, I entered a marksmanship training – навчання зі стрільби. Або I entered an aerial reconnaissance training – навчання з аеророзвідки. To undertake pre-deployment training – пройти навчання перед розгортанням військ, перед доправленням на бойове завдання. Про навчання ви можете сформулювати речення такого типу. I undertook a training for anti-aircraft gunnery, where I was trained as an anti-aircraft gunner. Я пройшов навчання зенітної артилерії, де мене тренували як стрільця-зенітника. У розповіді про військову кар'єру важливе слово to deploy – розгортати, розгортатися, переміщуватися, розміщуватися. Воно часто вживається в пасивному стані. I was deployed to the east of Ukraine. Також необхідне слово deployment. My first deployment was to the Luhansk region. Our unit changed the area of deployment. A permanent duty station, PDS – постійне місце призначення. A temporary duty, TDY – тимчасове призначення. Наприклад, our PDS was in the north, but I spent 6 months on temporary duty in southern Ukraine. To assign – призначати. To assign a mission – призначати завдання. To assign to a post – призначити на пост. To be assigned – бути призначеним. An assignment – призначення, завдання, задача. Також у військовій сфері у значенні призначення, завдання, задача використовують слово mission. I was given an assignment. Мені призначили завдання. I was assigned a combat mission. I was assigned the post or the position of CVCO, Combat Vehicle Commander. Мене було призначено на посаду командира бойової машини. Posting – це переведення по службі. To be posted бути призначеним на посаду або переведеним. I was posted to another garrison. Мене було переведено в інший гарнізон. I got a posting to another brigade. Я дістав переведення в іншу бригаду. Якщо вам треба розповісти, наприклад, на інтерв'ю або в приватній розмові, чим саме ви займались на службі, за мить я дам вам ще кілька корисних фраз. А просто зараз перевірте, чи ви вже підписані на канал Армійська англійська. Якщо ви додивились аж сюди, значить матеріал точно корисний. І якщо ви все ще не підписані, ви маєте натиснути кнопку підписки просто зараз. А ще напишіть ваш коментар, як просувається ваше оволодіння англійською з моїми уроками, бо кожен ваш коментар – це внесок у просування нашого проєкту і зворотній зв'язок для мене. А якщо ви бажаєте зробити більш вагомий внесок, ви можете стати нашим меценатом або одноразово підтримати наш проєкт фінансово. Ваша підтримка дає нам змогу робити більше уроків та матеріалів із військової англійської. Про військові нагороди або відзнаки можна розповісти в такий спосіб. I received awards, medals, commendations for something. Наприклад, for special assignments. Я дістав нагороди, медалі, похвали за виконання спеціальних завдань. I was honored with an order for courage. Мене було відзначено орденом за мужність. Якщо ви згадуєте про поранення, про це ви можете сказати, використовуючи, наприклад, такі фрази. I was injured. Мене було травмовано as a result of a mine explosion. Або I was wounded. Мене було поранено by bomb blast fragmentation. Rehabilitation treatment – це реабілітація. To be admitted for rehab treatment – бути прийнятим на реабілітаційне лікування. To retire – виходити на пенсію. Veterans and retirees – ветерани та військові пенсіонери. Також у Збройних силах багатьох країн є таке поняття, як transitioning to civilian life – перехід від військового життя до цивільного. А вже ж, коли ви розповідаєте про вашу військову кар'єру в Україні іноземцю, важливо враховувати багато чинників. Різницю між системами Збройних сил різних країн, різницю між порядком вступу на службу та військовою підготовкою в Україні та інших країнах Заходу, особливості вашої посади, спеціалізації і ваш унікальний військовий шлях. Тому сьогодні я дала вам загальний вокабуляр, а для більш детального опису ваших військових досягнень шукайте лексику, фрази, складайте вашу заготовку, щоб на зустрічі з закордонними колегами ви могли розповісти англійською про свій досвід. А щоб вам було легше скласти власну розповідь про своє минуле, послухаємо приклад розповіді про військову кар'єру.
My name is Tim. I was born in Livonia, Michigan, USA, and I graduated from Brighton High School in 1988. I enlisted in the U.S. Army 1 year after high school. I joined the Army and took the oath of enlistment in June 1989. I did basic training and advanced individual training, AIT, at Fort Knox, Kentucky. Then, I was stationed at Fort Polk, Louisiana. I served as a cavalry scout and specialized in reconnaissance. Every month we trained with weapons, land navigation, and first aid. For the last 7 months of my enlistment, I drove for the squadron's lieutenant colonel. In April 1991, my cavalry squadron deployed to California to train in the high desert. After that deployment, my division, 5th Infantry Division, was to deploy to Saudi Arabia for Operation Desert Storm. But the war finished so quickly, and so we did not deploy there. I served for 2 years. I started as a private, but when I finished my contract, I rose through the lower ranks to private first class. After my 2-year enlistment finished, I served in the reserves for 6 more years. Then, I fully transitioned to civilian life.
На цьому все. Якщо сьогоднішній урок був корисним для вас, залишайте ваші коментарі, підписуйтесь на Інстаграм та Телеграм армійської англійської. Допомагайте нам поширювати інформацію про наш освітній проєкт. Бо щоденно я, Олена Чекрижова, вчителька, та наша команда працюють над створенням відеоуроків з метою якомога швидше озброїти українське військо англійською мовою і якомога швидше перемогти клятого ворога. Чим Military Pack відрізняється від Assault Pack? І які ще типи рюкзаків бувають? Як називаються предмети в наплічнику солдата, які забезпечують йому shelter та camouflage? Яке оснащення можна віднести до Survival Essentials? Я Олена Чекрижова, вчителька. Це канал Армійська англійська, на якому сьогодні ми проводимо лексичну розпаковку військового рюкзака і вчимося розповідати про його вміст і називати предмети англійською. У попередніх відео ми з вами вже говорили про форму та одяг військового, а також детально розбирали назви та функції захисного спорядження. А сьогодні наша тема – військовий рюкзак та його вміст. Будемо вивчати, як описати англійською ті речі, які ви з собою носите. Під час підготовки до цього уроку я провела невелике опитування серед військових моїх студентів та друзів і зробила висновок, що окрім загального традиційного переліку необхідних речей, вони мають в своїх рюкзаках різне. А вже ж, наповнення залежить від роду військ, типу підрозділу, посади, характеру завдання, ситуації та обставин, сезону, персональних вподобань і потреб та багатьох інших чинників. Але є базовий набір, що міститься в наплічнику військового найчастіше. Саме про нього і поговоримо. Кажуть, що ще за часів давнього Риму солдати носили з собою сумки, зроблені зі шкіри, у яких переносили їжу, зброю та інші предмети. Довгий час солдати не мали рюкзаків у тому вигляді, як зараз, а носили невеликі сумки або ранці, бо більшість essential items, необхідних речей, які були їм потрібні, переміщувались на повозках on a wagon, які слідували за військом. Коли було винайдено вогнепальну зброю, firearms, у солдатів з'явилася необхідність мати при собою не тільки rifles and muskets, а також ammunition and cleaning equipment. І, відповідно, необхідність носити більше оснащення самостійно. Перші військові рюкзаки, які з'явилися в Америці всередині 18-го сторіччя, було виготовлено з листового металу – sheet metal. І вони мали wooden backing. Зрозуміло, що вони були не дуже зручні. Тож солдати часто загортали свої речі в ковдру і носили на плечі. Тому the first military backpack і називався rucksack від німецького спина та слова sack – сумка, мішок. Наприкінці Другої світової війни з'явився так званий field pack, який мав два відділення – one to store rations or equipment and the other for weaponry. З того часу моделі та матеріали для військових рюкзаків невпинно покращувались та удосконалювались. Було створено сотні різних модифікацій, і в сучасних арміях є вимоги до рюкзаків, які можуть носити військовослужбовці in terms of size – розміру, shape – форми, durability – міцності and color – кольору. Розгляньмо, які варіанти військових сумок та рюкзаків є зараз. A duffel bag – речовий мішок. A tube-shaped cloth bag. A bum bag або a butt bag – сумка на пояс. Molly rucksack – рюкзак з системою Моллі. A Combat Sustainment Pack – додатковий тактичний рюкзак. Невеликий рюкзак, що підходить для різних завдань. An Assault Pack – штурмовий рюкзак. A Mission Pack – рюкзак на одне завдання, на 2-3 дні. An Alice Pack – All-Purpose Lightweight Individual Carrying Equipment – рюкзак за типом універсального, полегшеного, індивідуального, розвантажувального обладнання. A Bergen – великий військовий рюкзак, понад 50 літрів, що використовують військові Британії. An Attachable Pouch – підсумок. A Survival Kit – набір для виживання. Увага! Різниця між Military Backpacks та Assault Packs в тому, що Military Backpacks – рюкзаки для перенесення всіх речей для довгого періоду часу, а Assault Packs – призначені для коротших періодів або навіть завдань на один день. Тоді як Military Pack може вміщувати до 96 літрів, Assault Packs містять лише around 20 liters. І перш ніж ми перейдемо до розбору вмісту, ви маєте підписатися на цей канал, якщо дивитесь наше відео, а також перевірити, чи поставили ви лайк та дзвіночок, щоб отримувати всі сповіщення про оновлення на каналі. Необхідно в рюкзаку їжа, food – це a field ration – сухпайок. Можна зустріти також назви combat ration, food packet, ration pack, battle ration, Meal Ready to Eat, MRE, або IMP – Individual Meal Pack. Також це усілякі protein bars та energy drinks, які ви так любите. Щоб нагрівати їжу, в рюкзаку є a flameless ration heater – безполуменевий нагрівач. У наплічнику військового неодмінно містяться речі, що забезпечують роботу зброї та зв'язок – weapons and communication. GPS unit, satellite phone, a compass, a map, binoculars, an extra battery – додаткова батарея або powerbank, a radio або a walkie-talkie – радіостанція або рація, a gun cleaning kit – набір для чищення зброї. Magazine pouches – підсумки для магазинів. Ammo pouches. A signal mirror – сигнальне дзеркало. Night vision gear. NVGs – night vision goggles. А також усілякі інші речі, необхідні для зв'язку, знаходження, знешкодження та знищення ворога. Survival essentials – це, по-перше, a first aid kit – аптечка, a tourniquet – турнікет, а також оснащення, що забезпечує гідрацію. Hydration packs – гідраційні пакети, a hydration bladder – питна система для рюкзака, a flask – фляга, також її називають a canteen, a sleeping bag – спальний мішок, an emergency blanket – термоковдра, matches – сірники, a hand or foot heating pad – зігрівальні елементи для рук чи ніг, a headlamp або a head torch – налобний ліхтарик, a tactical flashlight – тактичний ліхтарик. У рюкзаку можуть бути різні матеріали для спорудження shelter – укриття та camouflaging – маскування, a tarp – брезентовий тент, a tent – намет, duct tape – скотч і зустрічка, a rope – мотузка, a bungee cord – еластичний шнур з гачками, a rain jacket – дощовик. Маскувальна фарба для обличчя – це Camouflage Face Paint – CFP. Extra clothing – додатковий набір одягу. Sunscreen – крем для засмаги. Лопатка – це an entrenching tool або e-tool. Personal items – a knife, a multi-tool – є два варіанти написання цього слова. A mug – кружка, a ziploc bag – зіплок-пакет, поліетиленовий пакет на застібці, або a waterproof bag для мап та предметів, які не можна мочити. Що я пропустила? Напишіть мені в коментарях. Кожен ваш коментар служить для підтримки та просування нашого освітнього контенту. Ну і мені приємно. А ще обов'язково порекомендуйте армійську англійську вашим знайомим, які вивчають або планують вивчати англійську. Вони будуть вдячні вам за це. Може, не просто зараз, але будуть. Бо дуже скоро English стане обов'язковою вимогою для військовослужбовців України. І щоб ми могли робити більше корисних уроків і матеріалів з військової англійської, ви можете підтримати наш проєкт не тільки вподобайкою та коментарем, але й фінансово. Усі посилання в описі. Я Олена Чекрижова, вчителька, яка мріє, щоб українське військо опанувало англійську мову і змогло напряму комунікувати з партнерами та колегами з-за кордону, вести перемовини, залучати більше підтримки, навчатися та ділитися досвідом знищення ворога. І в наступному відео я буду озброювати вас граматикою. Скоро побачимось!
In Brussels, the European Union reaches an agreement on new rules for controlling migration. A Japanese court orders the approval of a plan to continue building work on a new area for a U.S. military base on Okinawa Island. The Supreme Court in the U.S. state of Colorado bars former President Donald Trump from appearing on the state's primary ballot under the U.S. Constitution's Insurrection Clause. And voting in presidential and legislative elections begins in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. President Felix Tshisekedi is seeking a second term.
No more plant-based steaks, at least not in France. This is News Review from BBC Learning English. I'm Neil.
And I'm Beth. Make sure you watch to the end to learn vocabulary to talk about this story.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and try the quiz on our website. Now the story.
Plant-based food can no longer have meat-based names in France. The French government have published a list of words, such as steak and ribs, that will not be allowed on labels for meat-free products. Farmers in the country have argued that using these words for non-meat products could confuse customers. Similar measures are being discussed in other countries.
You've been looking at the headlines, Beth. What's the vocabulary?
We have meaty, salvo, and reignites.
This is News Review from BBC Learning English. Let's have a look at our first headline.
This is from The Guardian. No more cordon bleu. France prepares to ban vegetarian products from using meaty language.
So, as the headline says, France is banning the way that certain foods, plant-based foods, are described. It's not banning the food itself. Now, we are looking at the adjective meaty. How exactly can language be meaty?
Well, firstly, meaty can be used to describe food. If you are cooking or eating something meaty, then it either is actually meat or it has a strong flavour of meat.
Although this headline is playing with the meaning of the word meaty, because the banned words could actually be used to describe actual meat. But meaty language is what we're looking at. Tell us more.
Well, meaty can also have this meaning of complex or serious, and it's often used to describe books and films. I really like reading. I enjoy a good big novel, lots of difficult language in it, which could be described as meaty.
Yeah, well, you're obviously a lot cleverer than me, Beth, because I don't really like reading anything meaty. I prefer just to look at the sports pages. That's good enough for me. Okay, let's look at that again. Let's have our next headline.
This is from VOA News. France readies new salvo against meat substitutes labelling.
We are learning about the word salvo. Beth, tell us more. There's a military origin, I think.
There is, yep. So salvo is originally a military term and it means to fire all the guns at once. Imagine an old warship and all of the cannons shoot at the same time.
Well, that is the literal meaning, but we are learning a metaphorical meaning, which is attack. And here it's a legal attack. It's not a physical attack. The French government has tried this in the past and is getting ready to try it again.
That's right. Now, we can also use the expression launch a salvo to describe criticising someone. Last night, very late, the neighbours in the flat above me were being really loud. So when I saw them this morning, I launched a salvo of angry words in their direction.
Okay, that sounds a bit scary. I must remember never to make any noise near you, Beth. I'm not sure if I could handle a salvo of angry words from you. Let's look at that again. Let's have our next headline.
This is from WIO News. France reignites bid to ban use of words steak, spare ribs for plant-based food.
So we are going to learn about the word reignite, and there is a clue hidden in the word. It's connected, Beth, to fire.
It is. Now, if you ignite a fire, you start a fire, and that prefix re means again. So reignite means to start a fire again. Now, we're not talking about a literal fire here, but obviously fire is dramatic. It's kind of related to conflict. And here we're talking about a political campaign.
Yes, as we've already heard, this isn't the first time the French government has tried to ban these meat-related words, but they are doing it again. They've reignited it. They've started again.
Exactly. And there are other things that you can reignite. Maybe you're having an argument with somebody, it's finally calmed down, and then they say something really annoying and it reignites the argument again.
Yes, but it doesn't have to be all negative. You can reignite your passion for something you love. Now, I heard, Beth, that you used to go surfing and you've reignited your passion. You're going to start again.
I have. In fact, I'm going to reignite my passion and go surfing right after news review.
Okay, let's look at that again. We've had meaty, interesting or complex.
Salvo, an attack or criticism.
And reignite, start up again.
Now, if you've enjoyed this episode, we think you'll love this 6 Minutes English, where we asked, would you eat less meat if it would help the environment?
Don't forget to click here to subscribe to our channel so you never miss another video. Thanks for joining us and goodbye.
Bye.
A new era for humankind. NASA smashes asteroid. This is News Review from BBC Learning English. I'm Neil.
And I'm Beth. Make sure you watch to the end to learn vocabulary to talk about today's story.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and try the quiz on our website. Now it's time for the story.
Protecting our Earth from space rocks. NASA has successfully crashed a DART spacecraft into an asteroid as part of a defense test. It's hoped scientists will learn more about pushing dangerous asteroids off course. Dr. Laurie Glaze, the Director of Planetary Science at NASA, called it a new era for humankind.
You've been looking at the headlines, Beth. What's the vocabulary?
We have bullseye, rams, and unprecedented.
This is News Review from BBC Learning English. Let's have a look at our first headline.
This one is from the Irish Times. Bullseye. NASA successfully smashes spacecraft into asteroid 11 million kilometers from Earth.
And so the meaning of this headline is that NASA have smashed a spacecraft into an asteroid. An asteroid is a really big rock floating in space, and to smash something means to hit it really, really hard. But the word we are concentrating on is bullseye, and it's a word from sport, isn't it?
Yes. Now, the spacecraft was called Dart, and darts is a game or a sport where you throw a small arrow, called a dart, into the center target, which is called a bullseye. Now, if you hit that, you get a lot of points, and when you hit it, you say...
Bullseye! And so the headline writer is saying that NASA hit this asteroid exactly in the right place, and they're using the word bullseye because the spacecraft is called Dart, so it's a bit of a joke. But can we use the word beyond sport?
Well, we often say it when we get the exact result that we wanted. It's a bit similar to yes or I did it, but it's only really used for sports and games normally.
Right, okay, so if I take this piece of paper and I try to hit the camera lens right in the middle, I can say bullseye! Okay, let's have a look at that again. Let's have a look at our next headline.
This one comes from Bloomberg. NASA craft rams distant asteroid in test of Earth defense.
The headline is saying that NASA did this experiment as a test of defense, and defense is an activity designed to stop something bad happening. In this case, an asteroid hitting the Earth. But the word we're looking at is ram. Now, Beth, a ram is a kind of animal, isn't it?
Yes, a ram is actually a male sheep, and they smash into things really hard with their head.
Okay, tell us more.
So imagine this action as a verb, to ram. It means to push or hit something very violently. Now, we know that the spacecraft hit the asteroid and was actually destroyed when that happened. So it really rammed it. It hit it hard.
Okay, ram as a verb then means to hit something really hard. We're not talking about a little knock or a tap. Imagine the police trying to open the door of a building they want to go in. They will ram it. If you're in a car accident, a car can ram into you. There is another word connected to ram. Rammed as an adjective has a different meaning, doesn't it? It means really busy, crowded.
Yeah, exactly. So if you imagine almost that the people have been pushed or rammed into a very tight space, it's very busy, so we can say it's rammed. Have you been anywhere that was rammed recently, Neil?
Yes, my train into work this morning was absolutely rammed. It was full of people. That's a quite informal way of describing it, isn't it?
Yeah, so if you want to use it in a situation that isn't informal, you might just say it's overcrowded or busy.
Okay, let's look at that again. Our next headline, please.
This one comes from CBC. We have impact. NASA slams spacecraft into asteroid in unprecedented test.
The headline says that NASA slammed a spacecraft into an asteroid. Slammed is another word like smashed and rammed that we've heard already, meaning hit very hard. But we are looking at the word unprecedented.
We are, and unprecedented is an adjective. It means something that hasn't happened before or something that we haven't known until now.
And so the headline describes the test as unprecedented. They've never done this before. They haven't tried to push an asteroid off its course ever before. Now, this word unprecedented, it's used a lot, isn't it?
Yeah, we see it all the time in the news. I mean, the news is all about new events. So recently we've heard about unprecedented levels of rainfall. We've also heard about unprecedented rises in prices of gas, for example.
Yeah, and those are all very serious things. And so unprecedented is often used for more kind of formal situations. For example, my son, if he did an exam at school, he got a really high mark. I wouldn't say, "Oh, Beth, my son got an unprecedented mark in his exam."
No, you definitely wouldn't. You'd just say maybe it's the best result he's ever had.
Okay, let's have a look at that again. We've had bullseye. I hit the target.
Rams, crashes into something violently.
And unprecedented. This has never happened before.
Don't forget, there is a quiz on our website, bbclearningenglish.com.
Thank you for joining us, and goodbye.
Bye.
Fake news. Fake news.
Hello, this is Fake News, Fact and Fiction from BBC Learning English. I'm Hugo.
And I'm Sam.
In the programme today, we'll hear from expert Samantha Bradshaw on the dangers of fake news.
And I'll be giving you some information about information.
We'll also hear a story about what happened when fake news was spread in a small town in Mexico. Now, Sam, how are you today?
I'm fine. Thanks, Hugo. How are you?
I am very well, and I'm looking forward to your vocabulary slot later.
Okay. I am today going to be talking about the word information.
I can hardly wait.
Yeah, I think that might be fake sincerity there.
No, honestly, I'm really looking forward to it.
Okay, well, we'll see if you feel the same way afterwards. Here is everything you could ever want to know about the word information. Maybe not everything, but as much as I could fit in. What is information? Information is knowledge. It's facts and details about a particular subject. Grammatically, information is an uncountable noun. So we talk about bits of information or pieces of information, but not informations. Information has a number of very closely related grammatical variations. The verb to inform is quite formal and means to tell someone something. And the adjective, informative, is used to describe information that is useful and interesting. Information also appears in at least two initialisms, IT, information technology, and FYI, for your information. Information comes from sources, and there are many different sources of information, including TV, radio, newspapers, books, magazines, the internet, social media, teachers, friends, colleagues, even overheard conversations on the bus. In fact, wherever we turn, there is information of one kind or another. And not all information is useful or appropriate. So it's definitely possible to have too much information. In fact, that's a phrase we use when someone tells us something that is very personal and makes us feel a little uncomfortable. You haven't changed your underpants in a week? Ugh, too much information. Too much information is another initialism, TMI. When thinking about fake news, we should be aware that information isn't always true and not all sources of information are reliable or accurate. We need to be on the lookout for disinformation, which is false information deliberately spread, and misinformation, which is false information that is accidentally spread. Though, to be honest, these expressions are both commonly used for the same thing, fake news. I hope that wasn't TMI. Now, FYI, it's back to the studio.
No, thanks. That was very informative.
Oh, Hugo, you're very good.
I try my best. But now, our theme of the day is the possible dangers of sharing fake news. To give us an overview, we're going to hear from Samantha Bradshaw from Oxford University. She's a researcher in fake news and disinformation at the Oxford Internet Institute.
Fake news can have real human consequences when it spreads from the online world to the offline world, particularly because of the speed at which this disinformation can spread. Often, unlike in the past, where there were many checks to the information that was being put out to the public, there aren't as many checks with social media, and viral stories containing fake news or other forms of disinformation have real-life consequences for people. For example, if we look at India or Mexico, disinformation and fake news have led to people actually being killed. If we look at the medical world with vaccines, a lot of the anti-vax movement narratives and the fake news about vaccinating children have caused real-life children not to get vaccinated and then die of sickness later. So there are real consequences to fake news and to these rumors that spread online.
So Samantha was talking a lot about consequences there.
Yes, some tragic consequences in that case. So consequences are the result of things that happen, or in the case of vaccinations, don't happen, and the result is usually bad.
Yeah, and she mentioned a story in Mexico when people were killed as a result of fake news. And I remember that because we covered that story here at the BBC. I tracked down one of the producers who worked on the story, Reha Kansara, to find out more of the details. Reha, you covered a tragic story, and that was because of fake news. Tell us about that.
So this is a story about two men who were murdered for something that they didn't do. These two men, they were going back home. They stopped over by a school to take a break. They had loud music on and were resting in their car. But someone at the school got suspicious, and so they called the police. As soon as the police arrested them, not for anything, but just finding, beer bottles, empty beer bottles in their car. People came, saw everything that was happening outside the school and started spreading fake news on WhatsApp. The rumor that essentially spread was that they were two men who were child kidnappers who were waiting outside a school to abduct children. And that obviously caused a frenzy on social media, on WhatsApp. And that turned into something bigger when they were arrested, because this went from WhatsApp to Facebook, gathered on Facebook to call out on people to come outside of the police station and basically take the law into their own hands. They were dragged from the police station to a town hall, doused in petrol, and then lit on fire. Lynchings aren't a new thing, but what is new is the way that this whole thing was filmed on Facebook.
Mm-hmm. It really shows the danger, because it went from WhatsApp to Facebook, and then it was a very small town in Mexico, so in a matter of hours, everybody was talking about it. And what struck you the most when covering this story?
The fact that people so easily believe things without, fact checking or double sourcing things. It has grave consequences, and this was one of them. Has there been any change in terms of legislation in Mexico, like public perception, even like public behavior when they see something that is not true? There are people talking about misinformation, more particularly over here, disinformation, the fact that people can turn lies into actual news. And this is something that Mexico is dealing with, not just with lynchings, but also with elections and just in general fake news in the country. And so you have platforms like Lo Que Sigue that has had to come about just to combat fake news in the country.
Rahab, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you.
A terrible story, Sam.
Yeah, really, really tragic.
Yeah, and we know this has happened not just in Mexico, but in other countries as well, like in India and Myanmar.
Yeah, it just goes to show that we have to be really, really careful when we're sharing information online. And most of us only share cute cat videos probably, but there are consequences to things like gossip that are shared. It seems a little bit insensitive to talk about vocabulary after such a tragic story, but Reha did use a really interesting journalistic term there. So could you explain to us what double sourcing means, please?
So it is making sure that you have two independent sources confirming the same information. But you also have to make sure that these sources are not confirming, the news using using the same source themselves.
Right.
Now, if you are an avid news consumer and want some advice on what to consider before you share anything on social media, here's Raha again with her top tip.
The best tip that I can give people who are consuming news non-stop is that you need to, if you see something, you need to find a way to verify it. That means if you see something in the news, check another media organization's coverage of that news to see whether they are following the same line. If you see something on WhatsApp that isn't news, but people are spreading, question why they're spreading it, what's their agenda. You know, if there is something involved in it that shows that it could have a reliable source of news, then go to that source and find out what's happening.
It's a great tip then, not just for journalists, but for everybody. It's very important to verify before sharing.
Absolutely. And to verify simply means to check that something is true.
Okay, well, almost done for today. Before we go, Sam, remind us of today's key vocabulary.
Of course, very happy to. So today I was talking about different forms of the word information. Information itself is an uncountable noun, and when it comes to fake news, you can talk about disinformation, which is deliberately fake information, and then there's also misinformation, which is accidentally fake information. So for example, if you're sharing something that you didn't know was fake, that's misinformation. But you might hear misinformation and disinformation being used interchangeably. The adjective for something that is interesting and useful is informative. In the program, we also talked about the word consequences, which are the negative results of something. And we also heard the word double sourcing, which is checking a news story is true by seeing if two independent sources are reporting the same thing. And if you do, that you may be able to verify the story and you may be able to confirm that it is indeed true.
Thank you, Sam. And that's all from us today. Share safely. Goodbye.
Bye.
Boss. Boss.
A boss is the person whose job is to tell other workers what to do.
Bothering. Bothering.
Bother means to annoy someone or to cause someone to feel annoyed.
Busy. Busy.
Busy means actively doing something.
Excited. Excited.
Excited means very enthusiastic and eager about something.
Nervous. Nervous.
Nervous means having or showing feelings of being worried and afraid about what might happen.
News. News.
News is information that is reported in a newspaper, magazine, television news program, or website.
Office. Office.
An office is a building or room in which people work at desks doing business or professional activities.
Reading. Reading.
Read means to look at and understand the meaning of letters, words, symbols, etc.
Recording. Recording.
Record means to store something, such as sounds, music, images, etc., on tape or on a disc so that it can be heard or seen later.
Show. Show.
A show is a television or radio program.
Working. Working.
Work means to do things as part of your job.
Writing. Writing.
Write means to create a book, poem, story, etc. by writing words on paper or on a computer.
What are you doing? I am writing.
Now you try it.
What are you doing?
Now you try it. Answer with working.
I am working. Are you writing?
Yes, I am writing.
Now it's your turn. Are you recording?
Answer. Yes, I am recording. Are you reading the news?
Yes, I am reading the news.
Are you doing your show? Answer.
Yes, I am doing my show.
Let's learn English.
Hi, are you Anna?
Yes. Hi there. Are you Pete?
I am Pete.
Nice to meet you. Oh.
Listen. Hi.
Speak.
Listen.
I am Pete. Speak.
Speak and say your name. Listen.
Nice to meet you. Speak.
Let's try that again. I'm Anna. Nice to meet you.
I'm Pete. Anna, is that A-N-A?
No, A-N-N-A.
Now it's your turn. Listen.
I'm Anna. A-N-N-A.
Speak and say your name. Spell your name.
Well, Anna with two N's. Welcome to 1400 Irving Street.
My new apartment.
Hi, are you Anna?
Yes. Hi there. Are you Pete?
I am Pete.
Nice to meet you. Oh. Let's try that again. I'm Anna. Nice to meet you.
I'm Pete. Anna, is that A-N-A?
No, A-N-N-A.
Well, Anna with 2 N's. Welcome to 1400 Irving Street.
My new apartment.
U.S. President Joe Biden speaks with Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador about a railway border crossing closed because of illegal migrant flows. In China, aid workers build hundreds of temporary housing units after an earthquake killed at least 144 people and destroyed more than 14,000 homes in northwestern Gansu province. Czech Prime Minister Petr Fiala places flowers outside Charles University in Prague to remember people killed in a mass shooting there Thursday. And in Niger, the last French troops leave Niamey, ending France's military deployment in the country.
Pete, hi. Hi, we're here.
Hi, Anna. Hi, Marcia.
Hi.
How are you two?
I am great. You know, Pete, I am new to DC. The city is big.
Yeah, but you learn a little more every day. How's the new apartment?
The new apartment is great. Let's get coffee.
Anna, do you have a pen?
Yes, I have a pen in my bag. I have a...
It is not a pen. It is a book. It is a big book.
Yes, it is, Pete. I know I have a pen, though. I have a...
It is not a pen, Anna. A toy?
I have a...
And it is a pillow.
Do you have a pen?
Yes, I have a pen.
Now you try it.
Pete, Marcia, I know I have a pen.
Anna, it is a map.
Why do you have a map of the world?
Pete, Marcia, now I know I have a pen.
And now you have a lamp.
It is not a pen.
It is a map.
Now you try it.
Anna.
I have a pen. Let's get coffee. Pete, hi. Hi, we're here.
Hi, Anna. Hi, Marcia.
Hi.
How are you two? I am great.
You know, Pete, I am new to DC. The city is big.
Yeah, but you learn a little more every day. How's the new apartment?
The new apartment is great. Let's get coffee.
Anna, do you have a pen?
Yes, I have a pen in my bag. I have a...
It is not a pen. It is a book. It is a big book.
Yes, it is, Pete. I know I have a pen, though. I have a...
It is not a pen, Anna. A toy?
I have a...
And it is a pillow.
Pete, Marcia, I know I have a pen.
Anna, it is a map.
Why do you have a map of the world?
Pete, Marcia, now I know I have a pen.
And now you have a lamp.
Anna.
I have a pen. Let's get coffee.
Is the global economy slowing down? The World Bank thinks we're heading for recession. This is News Review from BBC Learning English. I'm Neil.
And I'm Beth. Make sure you watch to the end to learn vocabulary to talk about this story.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and try the quiz on our website. Now, the story.
As prices continue to rise, the global economy is getting closer to a recession. That's according to a prediction by the World Bank. This year, the economy is expected to rise by the smallest percentage since 1991. Reasons for slow growth include Russia's invasion of Ukraine and the impact of the pandemic.
You've been looking at the headlines, Beth. What's the vocabulary?
We have overcoming, doom and gloom, and turbulent.
This is News Review from BBC Learning English. Let's take a look at our first headline.
This is from the Daily Star in Bangladesh. Overcoming looming economic challenges in 2023.
Okay, let's start with a definition of recession because that's what this story is about. A recession is a period of 2 or more quarters, that's 3-month periods, when the economy shrinks. Now, in this headline, it's saying that hard economic times are coming, but the word we're looking at is overcoming, and it's made up of 2 parts, over and coming. I know both of those parts, but when we put them together, what's the sense?
Well, overcome means that you successfully deal with a problem, and a problem that is quite difficult to cope with. So in this case, economic challenges.
Okay, so overcoming is similar to defeat or control.
Yeah, that's right. So if you are very shy, you might overcome your shyness, you gain control of it and become more confident.
Yeah, or you might be playing sports, let's say football, and if you overcome the opposition, it means you beat them. But it's not just beating. With overcome, there is a sense of real struggle. It wasn't easy to win.
Yeah, that's right. And we also use this in the passive, but it has a slightly different meaning, doesn't it?
Yes, if you are overcome by emotion, it means you have a very strong reaction. You feel it very strongly. You might have a physical reaction. You might shake with fear or cry.
Yeah, and it's not only used with negative emotions, it's used with positive ones as well, like joy or excitement.
Okay, let's look at that again. Let's take a look at our next headline.
This is from Business Live. It's far from being all doom and gloom on the economy.
So the headline is saying that actually it's not as bad as you think. It's not all doom and gloom. Now, doom and gloom is the expression we're looking at. I like this expression. It's got two words and they both rhyme. But what do they mean?
Well, it's a general bad feeling, really. So doom actually means death and destruction. Gloom is to do with darkness. Imagine a miserable grey, rainy day. So it's really quite a negative thing. But in this headline, it's saying that the opposite is true. It's saying that it's not all doom and gloom.
Yes, and we use the expression in this way quite often to say that something isn't as bad as you think. So, for example, at the moment, Beth, I'm actually not feeling very well. It's freezing cold outside. My train was late again.
But the sun is shining. So it's not all doom and gloom. Now, a word about this expression, we don't say I'm doom and gloom. We use it to comment on how bad a situation is.
That's right. So we can list a number of things that are bad or wrong and then comment on that by saying it's all doom and gloom, or it's a bit doom and gloom, isn't it? Let's have a look at that again. Time for our next headline.
This is from the New Straits Times. Global recession imminent after turbulent 2022.
Okay, so a recession is imminent. It means it's just about to start. The word we're looking at, though, is turbulent. Now, this word, Beth, reminds me of a situation you can experience on a plane.
Yeah, you're probably thinking about turbulence. That's a noun. So if you're on a plane and the pilot says, put your seatbelt on, the plane is going to get a bit unsteady. Things might start falling down. This is turbulence.
Yes, that is turbulence. I really don't like turbulence. The word we're looking at, though, is turbulent, which is the adjective. Tell us more.
So turbulent describes something that isn't calm, or it might be unstable. Now, we often use this in relation to the state or maybe the history of a country or a place. So if we're describing that country as turbulent, they might have experienced some conflict, maybe some violence.
And so the headline describes 2022 as turbulent. Last year was very turbulent. We had the Russian invasion of Ukraine. We had various environmental disasters. We had famine. We had lots of protests around the world.
Yeah, you're right. There were lots of issues that made it an unstable or a turbulent year.
Let's look at that again. We've had overcoming, dealing with a difficult problem.
Doom and gloom. We use this to describe a generally bad situation.
And turbulent, not calm, unstable.
Don't forget, there's a quiz on our website at bbclearningenglish.com.
Thank you for joining us, and goodbye.
Bye.
In Dubai, EU environment official Wopke Hoefstra tells the COP28 climate summit the meeting should mark the beginning of the end for fossil fuels. In Egypt, the chief of the U.S. Agency for International Development offers $21 million in aid to Gaza for a hospital. In South Africa, Nobel Prize winner Malala Yousafzai accuses Afghanistan's ruling Taliban of gender apartheid for its treatment of women and girls. And at the Pentagon, the U.S. and Sweden sign a defense cooperation agreement as Sweden awaits approval from Turkey and Hungary to join NATO.
Як розповісти англійською про структуру AFU – Armed Forces of Ukraine? Як сказати англійською Генштаб, командування Об'єднаних сил та як розповісти про їх функції англійською? Як назвати in English роди військ та сил, що відносяться до Specialized Forces of AFU та Specialized Troops of AFU? Як правильно перекласти сили логістики, сили підтримки, медичні сили, десантно-штурмові війська, війська зв'язку та кібербезпеки? Це армійська англійська, перший в Україні канал з уроками з Military English. Я Олена Чекрижова, вчителька, і наші глядачі давно просили мене створити урок про структуру ЗСУ, бо відчувають, наскільки потрібно і важливо вміти говорити про неї англійською. І цей день настав. Сьогодні поговоримо про сили оборони Defense Forces та The Structure of the Armed Forces of Ukraine – структуру Збройних сил України. Нагадаю, що в попередньому відео ми говорили про сили безпеки України Security Forces of Ukraine, розглядали корисну англійську лексику, тож перегляньте його, щоб коли вам доведеться спілкуватись на цю тему з іноземцями, ви мали всі мовні ресурси для цього. А ще поділіться нашими матеріалами з колегами та знайомими. Порекомендуйте їм наш канал. Вони точно вам подякують за це. Згідно із законом, the number of people in the armed forces of Ukraine is 261,000 people. Чисельність ЗСУ складає 261 тисячу осіб. Із них військовими є 215,000. Однак в особливий період, наприклад, в період воєнного стану, martial law, чисельність збільшується відповідно до вимог і потреб. The number may increase according to the requirements and needs. Збройні сили України мають таку структуру. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine – Генеральний штаб ЗСУ. The Command of the Joint Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine – Командування Об'єднаних сил Збройних сил України. Branches of AFU – Основні роди військ та сил ЗСУ. Specialized Forces of AFU – Окремі роди сил ЗСУ. Specialized Troops of AFU – окремі роди військ ЗСУ. Military Administration Bodies, Units, Institutions – органи військового управління, підрозділи, військові навчальні заклади, що не належать до видів і окремих родів військ Збройних сил України. The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine – Генеральний штаб ЗСУ – головний військовий орган, який має такі функції. It plans the defense of the state, планує оборону держави, controls the use of the armed forces of Ukraine, керує застосуванням Збройних сил України, coordinates and controls the implementation of defense tasks, координує та контролює виконання завдань з оборони. Determines – визначає requirements for the defense forces of Ukraine – вимоги до сил оборони України, resource needs – потреби в ресурсах, strategic planning – стратегічне планування, technical equipment – технічне оснащення тощо. The General Staff of Ukraine closely cooperates with the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine. Генштаб тісно співпрацює з Міністерством оборони України. The Ministry of Defense is responsible for providing the resources for the armed forces. Відповідає за ресурсне забезпечення ЗСУ and for the defense policy – за оборонну політику. The Command of the Joint Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine – командування Об'єднаних сил Збройних сил України – є штатним органом стратегічного рівня is a staff body of strategic level. The Command of the Joint Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine performs military management, здійснює військове управління of all interspecific, всіма міжвидовими and interdepartmental troops та міжвідомчими угрупуваннями військ to conduct operations для проведення операцій by order of the Supreme Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine за наказом Верховного Головнокомандувача Збройних сил України and the General Staff of the AFU та Генштабу ЗСУ. The command of the Joint Forces of the Armed Forces of Ukraine is responsible for, відповідає за, conducting joint operations on the territory of Ukraine, проведення об'єднаних операцій на території України, and peacekeeping missions beyond its borders, та миротворчих місій за її межами. Branches of AFU – основні роди військ та сил ЗСУ. Це Land Forces – сухопутні війська, Air Force – повітряні сили, Navy – військово-морські сили. Specialized Forces of AFU – окремі роди сил ЗСУ – це Special Operations Forces – сили спеціальних операцій, Territorial Defense Forces – сили територіальної оборони, Logistics Forces – сили логістики, Support Forces – сили підтримки, Medical Forces – медичні сили. Specialized Troops of AFU – окремі роди військ ЗСУ, Air Assault Forces – Troops – десантно-штурмові війська, Communications and Cybersecurity Troops – війська зв'язку та кібербезпеки. Друзі, нагадаю вам, що ми вже випускали великий урок, присвячений родам військ та сил ЗСУ, де говорили про Land Forces, Air Force, Navy, Special Operations Forces, Territorial Defense Forces. Інші роди військ та сил ми також не обійдемо увагою і розберемо лексику, щоб ви могли про них розповідати англійською мовою. Але це буде в наступних відео. А щоб їх не пропустити, коли вони з'являться на нашому каналі, ви маєте бути підписаним. І щоб вони таки з'явилися на нашому каналі, і ми могли створювати більше освітнього контенту для українських військових, закликаю вас підтримати наш соціальний проєкт поширенням, коментарем або донатом. Вся інформація щодо цього буде в описі до відео. Також The Armed Forces of Ukraine include – Збройні сили України включають Military Administration Bodies – органи військового управління, Military Units – з'єднання та військові частини, Higher Military Educational Institutions – вищі військові навчальні заклади, Military Educational Units of Higher Education Institutions – військові навчальні підрозділи закладів вищої освіти, Institutions and organizations – установи й організації that do not belong to the branches and specialized troops of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, що не належать до видів і окремих родів військ Збройних сил України. The Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine – головнокомандувач Збройних сил України is the highest military position in the state – найвища військова посада в державі. Як керівник Збройних сил України, the head of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, він виконує такі обов'язки. Organizes preparation for defense – організовує підготовку до оборони, directly controls the armed forces during hostilities, безпосередньо керує Збройними силами під час бойових дій. В особливий період керівництво Збройними силами України і іншими військовими формуваннями президент України здійснює через ставку Верховного Головнокомандувача, the headquarters of the Supreme Commander-in-Chief, робочим органом якого є the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine – Генеральний штаб Збройних сил України. А я, Олена Чекрижова, вчителька. Це спеціалізований курс англійською, який я створюю на цьому каналі Армійська англійська разом з командою однодумців. Ми переконані, що англійська має стати другою мовою в Security and Defense Forces of Ukraine. З нами погоджується The General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, який, як і ми, хоче, щоб всі українські військовослужбовці говорили англійською до 2026 року. Ми не підпорядковуємось Генштабу, а є незалежним соціальним проєктом, але ми вже працюємо над реалізацією цієї цілі. Озброюємо українські сили безпеки та оборони англійською мовою, роблячи спеціалізовану військову англійську доступною для кожного військовослужбовця. Як сказати англійською вибухова хвиля, розтяжка, детонатор, елемент запобігання знешкодженню міни? Яка лексика знадобиться, щоб описати різні типи протипіхотних та протитанкових мін? Я Олена Чекрижова, вчителька. Це канал Армійська англійська, перший в Україні канал зі спеціалізованої військової англійської. І в цьому уроці ми говоримо про landmines, які вони бувають та як розповідати англійською про їхні особливості та спосіб дії. A landmine пишеться разом або окремо. Is an explosive weapon, an encased explosive charge, вибуховий заряд, розміщений у контейнері, buried below або concealed under, захований під, or camouflage on the ground, замаскований на землі. They are designed to destroy or disable enemy targets. Вони створені, щоб знищувати або знешкоджувати ворожі цілі. Ranging from combatants to vehicles and tanks as they pass over, коли вони пересуваються повз or near a mine або біля міни. A landmine may cause damage, може спричинити пошкодження by direct blast effect, прямою дією вибухової ударної хвилі, by fragments, уламками, that are thrown by the blast, які розкидаються хвилею, або і тим, і тим. Landmines are typically laid throughout an area, закладаються на всій території, creating a minefield, мінне поле. Такий пристрій is detonated automatically by way of pressure, автоматично за допомогою тиску. When a target steps on it, наступає на нього, or drives over it, проїжджає над ним. Крім того, a landmine can be triggered by other detonation mechanisms, movement, sound, magnetism and vibration. Для детонації також використовують tripwires – дротяні нитки-розтяжки та remote control – дистанційне керування. A person who detonates a mine by remote control називається triggerman. Міна, яка активується, коли на неї наступають, when it is stepped on, наїжджають, driven over, ударяють, struck, називається victim activated. Anti-handling device – це елемент запобігання знешкодженню міни. Його функція – to prevent the clearing of mines – запобігати розмінуванню. There are two main categories of landmines – anti-personnel and anti-vehicle – протипіхотні та протитанкові. Розглянемо основну лексику, яка допоможе розповідати про ці міни англійською. Anti-personnel mines також позначають абревіатурою APM. Anti-personnel blast mines – протипіхотні міни фугасної дії, які вибухають на рівні ніг жертви. The casing of blast mines – корпус цих мін may be made of metal, wood or plastic. Міни цього типу, наприклад, міну пелюстка, яку в англійській називають green parrot or butterfly mine, можуть встановлювати remotely, віддалено, using a rocket salvo system, за допомогою реактивної системи залпового вогню. Directional fragmentation mines – це осколкові міни спрямованої дії, які propel pieces of metal shrapnel у того, хто її активував. Такі міни are usually triggered by tripwires, і вони часто використовуються in ambush situations, у засідках. Bounding fragmentation mines – це осколкові міни, що підстрибують та вибухають у повітрі. Вони містять a small charge – малий заряд, що піднімає міну into the air, та the main charge, який explodes – scattering fragments at about waist level, розкидуючи осколки на рівні пояса людини. Anti-vehicle mines, AVM, or anti-tank mines, ATM, are designed to damage or destroy vehicles, including tanks and armored fighting vehicles. Нагадаю, що ми вже говорили про armored vehicles, броньовані машини, у кількох відеоуроках, посилання на які ви знайдете в описі до цього відео. Anti-tank mines, як правило, мають a much larger explosive charge – набагато більший вибуховий заряд, ніж AP mines. And a fuse – підривник, детонатор, що є triggered, приводиться в дію by vehicles or remotely. Сучасні anti-vehicle mines використовують a magnetic trigger. Advanced mines здатні розпізнавати the difference between friendly and enemy types of vehicles. У зв'язку з агресією Росії проти України є велика ймовірність виявлення вибухонебезпечних предметів не тільки в регіонах, де ведуться активні бойові дії, а й на всій території держави. У наступних уроках ми розглянемо лексику з теми розмінування – mine clearing. Щоб не пропустити цю тему, ви знаєте, що робити. Підпишіться на цей канал, якщо ви все ще цього не зробили, та поставте дзвіночок, щоб отримувати нагадування про нові відео. Якщо ви вже підписані і регулярно дивитесь цей курс, хочете долучитися або підтримати нас, щоб допомогти команді армійської, англійської створювати ще більше освітніх матеріалів для українських військових, уся інформація про те, як це зробити, є в описі до цього відео. А я, Олена Чекрежова, вчителька, вдячна вам за увагу та підтримку. Ваші підписки, вподобайки та коментарі допомагають нам просувати наш соціальний освітній продукт на каналі Армійська Англійська та здійснювати мовну підготовку українських Збройних Сил. Як сказати віджимання, присідання, станова тяга англійською та як назвати інші вправи, які військові виконують на фізичних тренуваннях. Що входить до Army Combat Fitness Test Та чим Marine Corps Physical Fitness Test відрізняється від Marine Corps Combat Fitness Test? Як розповісти англійською про оцінювання фізичної підготовки в ЗСУ? Це канал Армійська англійська, а я Олена Чекрижова, вчителька. І я не втомлююсь повторювати, що мовна підготовка має бути обов'язковою в Збройних силах України, так само, як і фізична. І саме про фізичну підготовку військових, PT, Physical Training, ми з вами поговоримо сьогодні. Почнемо із назв найбільш популярних фізичних вправ. Push-ups – віджимання, sit-ups – згинання та розгинання тулуба, лежачи на спині, dragging weight – перетягування ваги, lifting weights – підйом ваги, kettlebells carrying – носіння гир, squats – присідання, overhead squat – присідання зі штангою над головою, burpees – burpee, deadlifts – станова тяга, leg tucks – підтягування ніг, supine bicycles – вправа велосипед, лежачи на спині, climbing monkey bar – вправа на рукоході, standing power throw – перекидання м'яча через голову в позі стоячи, windmill exercise – вправа млин, ground combat techniques – бійцівські єдиноборства, stretching exercises – вправи на розтяжку, plank – планка, to hold a plank – тримати планку, swimming – плавання, rowing – гребля, від дієслова to row – гребти, biking – байкінг – їзда на велосипеді, fast running – біг на швидкість, 2-mile run – забіг на 2 милі, це приблизно 3-2 кілометри, sprint – спринт. Розглянемо вправи, що потрібні для проходження смуги перешкод. Climbing wooden wall – лазіння по дерев'яній стінці. Climbing the net – лазіння по сітці. Rope climbing – лазіння по канату. Зверніть увагу на слово climbing від дієслова to climb. Літера B не читається. Lifting wheel – вправа перевертання покришки. Practicing tire obstacles – біг з перешкодами з автомобільних шин. Crawling under the net – лазіння під сіткою. Carrying a wooden post – вправа на перенесення дерев'яної колоди. До речі, детальніше про смугу перешкод ми поговоримо з вами в наступному відео. А зараз перевірте, чи ви підписані на цей канал. І якщо підписані, чи стоїть ваша вподобайка до цього відео? Також всі ваші коментарі сприяють тому, щоб наші уроки просувались в YouTube. Тому жоден ваш коментар не буде зайвим. Коротко поговоримо про тести фізичної підготовки в різних родах військ США. До речі, нещодавно я розповідала про роди військ США і давала корисні слова для розповіді про роди військ та сил, їхні функції та завдання. Подивіться це відео, якщо пропустили. The Army Combat Fitness Test ACFT складається з 6 компонентів, які тестують різні параметри підготовки від м'язової сили та потужності Muscular Strength and Power до гнучкості та координації Flexibility and Coordination. Солдати заробляють бали за виконання та перевиконання мінімальних вимог кожного завдання. Компоненти тесту такі: 3 Maximum Deadlift – 3 повторення максимальної станової тяги. У цій частині теста треба to lift – підняти, the maximum weight you can 3 times – 3 рази. Standing power throw – силовий кидок стоячи. Солдати мають to throw – кинути a 10-pound medicine ball backward and overhead as far as possible. Назад та над головою якомога далі. Також у форматі тесту солдати виконують hand release push-ups – віджимання. They complete as many hand release push-ups as possible. Якомога більше віджимань із відривом долонь in 2 minutes. Sprint, drag, carry. Спринт, тягни, перенеси. Треба пройти 25-метрову дистанцію 5 разів якомога швидше. Вона включає спринт, перетягування ваги у 90 фунтів, sled drag, біг приставним кроком, laterals, перенесення в руках 2 40-pound kettlebell weights, 40-фунтових гир та ще один спринт. Це випробування симулює перетаскування побратима, a battle buddy, на полі бою в безпечнішу зону або в укриття, а також перенесення боєкомплекту на бойових позиціях. Leg tuck – підтягування ніг. Soldiers complete as many leg tucks as possible, водночас зберігаючи a relatively vertical posture, відносно вертикальне положення. 2-mile run on a measured, generally flat, outdoor course. 2-мильна пробіжка на час по відносно рівній місцевості на відкритому повітрі. Морські піхотинці США складають 2 тести. Перший – це The Marine Corps Physical Fitness Test, який включає pull-ups or push-ups – підтягування або віджимання, planking – стійку в планці та timed 3-mile run. Другий – The Marine Corps Combat Fitness Test – тест, що тестує не тільки загальну форму, а й фізичну підготовку до бойових дій. CFT складають кожні півроку, щоб підтвердити свою боєздатність. В цьому тесті морські піхотинці повинні run 880 yards. Це simulating movement to contact in battle dress uniform. А також lift a 30-pound ammunition can overhead над головою і зробити максимальну кількість повторів за 2 хвилини. Крім того, вони perform a maneuver under fire simulated event. Для цього випробування морпіхи are paired up by size, діляться на пари за розміром. Вони виконують низку задач, у тому числі з перешкодами: sprints, agility course, high crawl, low crawl, body drag, fireman carry, ammo can carry, push-ups and grenade throw. У тестах для Coast Guard берегової охорони та Navy військово-морського флоту присутні тести, що перевіряють здатність плавати. Тому до тренувань додаються Complete Swim Circuit – вправи на плавання, а також Cardio-Respiratory Fitness – кардіореспіраторний фітнес, Swim, 1.5-mile run, Stationary bike – плавання, біг на 1,5 милі, велотренажер. В інтернеті ви можете знайти безліч відео та статей англійською, присвячених саме фізичній підготовці військових, які поповнять ваш словниковий запас іншою лексикою. А завершити урок я хочу короткою розповіддю про Physical Training Assessment – оцінювання рівня фізичної підготовленості in the Ukrainian Army. For testing and assessment of physical fitness, all servicemen are divided into categories and age groups. Усі військовослужбовці поділяються на категорії та вікові групи, depending on their occupation requirements, залежно від вимог їх службової діяльності. До тесту з оцінювання фізичної підготовки входять такі вправи: pull-ups on a crossbar – підтягування на перекладині, 100-meter run – біг на 100 метрів, 3-kilometer run – біг на 3 кілометри, 2-kilometer run – біг на 2 кілометри, sit-ups – згинання та розгинання тулуба, push-ups – згинання та розгинання рук в упорі лежачи. Assessment – оцінювання проводиться за сумою балів, points, taking into account a gender – з урахуванням статі. Щоб розповісти про те, які вправи ви виконуєте, як тренуєте щодня, застосовуйте лексику цього уроку, а з граматики вам знадобиться час Present Simple – детальний урок з простим зрозумілим поясненням, як цей час вживати та утворювати, ви знайдете на нашому каналі. Ще раз нагадаю вам, що до мовної підготовки варто ставитись так само серйозно, як і до фізичної. Щоб сприяти цьому і допомогти українським Збройним силам опанувати English якомога швидше, ми з командою волонтерів працюємо щоденно і готуємо ці відеоуроки та інші спеціалізовані матеріали саме з військової англійської. Усе, по суті, тільки те, що знадобиться військовим у роботі. Я Олена Чекрижова, вчителька. Це канал Армійська англійська, який просто зараз, будь ласка, візьміть та порекомендуйте вашим знайомим та колегам, щоб якомога більше українських захисників вивчали англійську з нами. Побачимося в наступному уроці.
Base. Base.
A base is any of the 4 places a runner must touch in order to score in baseball.
Baseball. Baseball.
Baseball is a game played on a large field by 2 teams of 9 players who try to score runs by hitting a small ball with a long rounded stick and then running to each of the 4 places a runner must touch in order to score without being put out.
Better. Better.
Better means more attractive, appealing, effective, or useful.
Bike. Bike.
A bicycle or bike is a 2-wheeled vehicle that a person rides by pushing on foot pedals.
Cheers. Cheers.
To cheer means to shout with joy, approval, or enthusiasm.
Crowd. Crowd.
A crowd is a large group of people who are together in one place.
Earlier. Earlier.
Earlier means before the usual or expected time.
Extra. Extra.
Extra means more than is usual or necessary.
Fan. Fan.
A fan is a person who likes and admires someone, such as a famous person or something, such as a sport or a sports team, in a very enthusiastic way.
Faster. Faster.
Faster means with great speed.
Hit. Hit.
To hit means to cause a ball to move by hitting it forcefully with a bat in baseball.
Hit.
A hit is when a baseball player is able to successfully swing the bat and connect it with the ball.
Home plate. Home plate.
Home plate is the base that a runner must touch in order to score in baseball.
Home run. Home run.
A home run is a hit that allows the batter to go around all the bases and score a run in baseball.
Nationals Park. Nationals Park.
Nationals Park is a baseball park located in Washington, D.C. that is the home ballpark for the Washington Nationals baseball team.
Online. Online.
Online means done over the internet.
Pitch. Pitch.
To pitch means to throw a ball to the player who is trying to hit the ball in baseball.
Swing. Swing.
To swing means to move your arms while holding the long rounded stick that is used to hit the ball in baseball with a quick curving motion.
Team. Team.
A team is a group of people who compete in a sport or game against another group.
Van. Van.
Than is used to introduce the second or last of two or more things or people that are being compared, used with the comparative form of an adjective or adverb.
Ticket. Ticket.
A ticket is a piece of paper that allows you to see a show, participate in an event, or travel on a vehicle.
Window. Window.
A window is an opening in a wall or door that usually contains a sheet of glass.
To compare things in English, we use a special kind of adjective. To compare two or more things, use a comparative adjective. In this lesson, Ashley says,
"A bicycle is faster than a taxi."
Later, Anna says,
Being early is better than being late.
Now you try it. Compare two ways to get to Nationals Park.
which way is faster, metro or bus? I want to arrive earlier this time.
The metro is faster than a bus. You will arrive earlier.
Superlative adjectives. Superlative adjectives describe one thing as having more of a quality than all of the other things in a group. The word the appears before these adjectives and they end in est or st. In last week's lesson, we heard Pete say,
You came to the right place. They have the freshest seafood in town.
Pete uses a superlative adjective because there are many places to buy seafood. He thinks this market has the freshest seafood.
Sometimes there are irregular forms for these adjectives. For example, best is the superlative adjective for the word good. Better is the comparative adjective for good.
Listen to Pete as he uses a superlative adjective to describe the crabs.
The crabs here are delicious. They are the best because they come from the nearby Chesapeake Bay.
In this lesson, Anna says,
The metro was a lot faster than a bus, taxi, or bike.
For the adjective fast, the superlative is fastest. Now you try it. Compare 4 ways to get to Nationals Park.
what is the best way to get to Nationals Park? Metro, bus, taxi, or bike?
The metro is the fastest way to get to Nationals Park.
In Hong Kong, the trial of media businessman Jimmy Lai begins. Lai faces national security charges, carrying a possible sentence of life in prison. Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida condemns North Korea's missile test, which South Korea's military says flew 1,000 kilometers before landing in the sea. Iraqis vote in the first provincial elections in 10 years. Parliamentary elections are planned for 2025. And Kenya and the European Union sign an economic partnership agreement. The deal reduces import taxes and other costs between Europe and the East African nation.
Fake news. Fake news.
Hello and welcome to Fake News, Fact and Fiction from BBC Learning English. I'm Hugo.
And I'm Sam.
In the program today, we'll look at some of the reasons people share fake news. We'll hear from disinformation researcher Samantha Bradshaw.
One reason why people share fake news that they know is fake has to do with this thing that we call identity signaling.
Identity signaling. Have you heard of that, Sam?
Not until I saw the script for this program, actually.
Also, make sure you keep watching to find out what identity signaling is and how it's a part of the spread of fake news. Before we get to that, we have some key vocabulary which you're going to tell us about. Sam, what do you have for us today?
Yes, so today I am talking about agenda, actors, and motives.
If you have to go to meetings, and who doesn't love a good meeting? I hate them. They're such a waste of time. You will probably be familiar with agendas. An agenda is a list of things that are going to be discussed at the meeting. But there is another meaning of the word agenda that is important in the area of fake news. If an individual or organization or a government has an agenda, it means that there is something they want to achieve. This could be clearly stated objectives, but having an agenda can also suggest a secret or hidden aim. Let's park the word agenda for the moment because there is another word I want to talk about that has a very well-known meaning, but also another meaning which is perhaps not so well-known: actor. It's probably a very familiar word. Somebody who performs on stage or in films is an actor. But the same word is used to describe a person, group, or even a state that has an agenda that's either politically or economically motivated, and they have influence or power that they use to promote that agenda. In this context, you can hear the phrases state actors, political actors, and even bad actors. State actors are governments. Political actors are those with, you guessed it, political power and agendas. And bad actors, well, that doesn't mean people who aren't very good at acting. A bad actor uses power or influence in a dishonest way to push a hidden agenda. They're trying to achieve something, but it's not clear what it is, and it's not clear who is doing it. For example, if a government from one country wants to influence an election in another country, they may spread fake news stories but hide the fact that they're doing it. This could be described as the actions of a bad actor or a bad state actor. People who spread disinformation online may not be doing it because they believe it, but because it suits their agenda. This spreading of disinformation can be very sophisticated, and the motives of those doing it are often not obvious. Motive. That's another useful word in this context. If you like TV crime dramas, and who doesn't love a good crime drama? Me, I never really understand them. You will often hear the word motive. He can't be guilty, he didn't have a motive. A motive is a reason for doing something, and not everyone's motives for what they post online are genuine. But how can you tell? Let's go back to the studio to see if there are any more useful tips.
Thanks for that, Sam. Really interesting. I was really impressed with your acting there.
Well, I may be a bad actor, but I'm not a bad actor. My motives are purely genuine.
Well, that's an interesting point about fake news, I think. We've heard that fake news is produced by people who may want to make money or have a political or social agenda. Those are their motives, but they can only be successful if we share those stories.
Yeah, absolutely. But why do people share news, stories, images that are fake?
Well, researcher Samantha Bradshaw from the Oxford Internet Institute at Oxford University shared her observations with us earlier.
People share fake news for a variety of reasons. In many cases, sometimes people don't even realize the stories that they're sharing are fake. They might find the content funny or humorous, or they might think that people in their networks, such as their friends or family or broader acquaintances, might enjoy this content. Another reason people might share fake news has to do with the emotional appeal of fake news. Because it tends to be very negative, it tends to also elicit a reaction from people, and they might be angry and they might type and share and discuss what is being talked about in this article because they find it so outrageous that they need to share it. The third reason why people might share fake news has to do with what we call identity signaling, where people know that the information being shared in this story is false, but the purpose of sharing it is to signal to a broader community that they share certain values that are reflected in that news story. And so it gives people a sense of belonging and fitting into a broader community of people. It has much more to do with identity than the actual facts of the story.
So what do you make of that, Sam?
Okay, well, I can definitely see how we might accidentally share things that aren't true. For example, I sometimes see some amazing photos that I find out later are actually photoshopped, and things that might make me angry can make me reach for the share button. But what stood out for me was this idea of identity signaling. We might want to show that we belong to a particular group. We share some beliefs and opinions, and that it really doesn't matter whether the content is true or not.
And this is something that the people who produce fake news know well, and they know how to make us share those stories. Here's Samantha Bradshaw again.
So the purveyors of fake news will use a variety of strategies to get people clicking and sharing their content. One of these strategies has to do with just the style that fake news stories are often written in. They'll tend to use highly emotional language.